Channels are gone. Marlo was unbanned, and creators have literally come out of retirement to completely destroy Marlo's narrative in her 3-hour response video. So starting with the Aximity situation, he was obviously the main spearheader of this whole entire Marlo expose. There's obviously a ton of others covering the situation, but he was the main guy. And well, just the other day, he obviously released his part 2, showing more proof that Marlo is Danger Mario and cheating. But if you go to his YouTube channel right now, it is completely gone. It's deleted. Even when you go to his second channel, all of his videos are removed. There was some speculation that he was hacked or that Marlo, the cease and desist that Marlo sent got to him.
So the first thing I should tell you all is that I've been seeking legal advice on all of this, and the fact of the matter is that there are so many verifiably false claims that he's made against me that it constitutes extreme damages to both my reputation and livelihood. It's also worth noting that not only has he harmed me, but he's also harmed the reputation of other people like Jai Guy, who, if you don't know, is the owner of PvP Club, in the process. There's a lot of proof of malicious intent from him, as well as examples of him weaponizing his audience in order to cause further reputational damage to people he doesn't like.
But it would eventually come to light in his Discord that he deleted it himself to remove himself from the drama. This is insane because his YouTube channel is clearly no joke. He had 90,000 subscribers at the time of deleting it, but I think this speaks volumes of the intentions behind everything, because obviously Marlo was saying in her 3-hour response that Aximity was mainly doing this for his own personal gain. So this completely flips the script on that. But yeah, that must hurt, and that definitely could not have been an easy decision. But obviously, if you guys are following the situation closely, you know how toxic and serious these situations in this community can get, which is actually exactly why the player Rasplin left the community in the first place, and he came back with a response to this situation. And the evidence he brings is very damning. But the player Vexe would also drop a video the other day. Vexe, being the highest ranked sword PvP player, would drop this video. And let me tell you, it absolutely destroys the points in Marlo's 3-hour response video, which of course had a section covering Marlo's interaction with Vexe.
Danger Marlo has recently dropped a scathing video outlining some of the most misrepresented information that I think a toddler would be able to see through.
So the first thing that Vexe brings up is a very interesting point. A piece of evidence against Marlo initially was that versus Vexe, they were gonna do a wager, and Marlo just pretty much stalled the entire time and did a bunch of weird things. But then during Marlo's 3-hour response video, Marlo would have a ton of excuses and reasons for why they did this, just like always.
What you need to know is that Vexe and I don't have a good relationship. I would end up accepting, so we scheduled a fight on another day. When the day came, I was told that I needed to play the match on specifically 1.21.2 or higher. This meant that in order to play, I was going to have to update my version and all the mods I typically used. During the process of this, I ran into a few issues, which I would end up asking for help on. Unfortunately, my questions were met with toxicity and condescending behavior from Vexe. In front of everyone, he singled me out and made me appear as if I was stupid.
See, that's precisely the point though. Marlo is not stupid, and Vexe really smartly clocks this contradiction.
So first of all, Marlo is acting like the stalling started after I was getting angry. Not only was the fight planned days before in advance, but before mods were even mentioned, it had taken them over an hour just to install plain vanilla Minecraft. Then when they finally decided to start updating their mods, despite being the supposed best MC Tiers player and having created the Crystal Optimizer mod, they still took hours.
This is just so true. If you're unemployed and have followed this entire situation, Marlo has literally made an optimizer mod software for multiple different instances, has technical knowledge to create websites and like data infrastructure. She said that she trained an AI voice model on her own voice data for whatever reason, and you're also the supposed best Minecraft player or PvPer in the world on multiple categories. But now when you're put on the spot to play on an alternative server, now you can just barely operate a computer and can't figure out basic Minecraft mods. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Now, another really amazing point that Vexe brings up is that Marlo was supposedly scared of being framed for hacking, and that's a big reason why she didn't want to play on other servers. But Vexe correctly points out Marlo is literally spending a lot of this time pretending to hack.
Essentially, I would go on to do other things on my PC while leading him on, and then every now and then send troll screenshots of error messages as if I was completely incompetent. This would go on for hours, and then when he eventually realized that I was just absently baiting him the whole time, I decided to actually log on in order to get his hopes up.
So just to recap, in the time that Marlowe could have been installing these mods, they sat around faking error messages, while at the time, I had gone ahead and sent the $350 wager to a middleman, that being Theobald the Bird, who was in the chat. It's also framed here that she was wasting my time, when in reality, she was wasting a whole number of people's time, that including Swipe, Flowtives, and Intel, who were watching the whole thing, and their time was just as wasted as mine.
When I logged on this time, I set my attack keybind to a keyboard key, then proceeded to act as if I was AFK. Whenever a player would walk in front of me, I would press the key to attack them so that I didn't risk moving my mouse any.
How can you on one hand be scared that they're gonna fake anti-cheat logs and then on the other hand pretend to have trigger bot? Like, this argument from start to finish has so many gaps, it's gonna cause me getting brain damage.
I did this in order to pretend that I had accidentally left on a popular hack client module called TriggerBot.
These are just completely contradictory points. You can't be scared that people are gonna frame you for hacking while literally framing yourself for hacking. But now, like I said, even the player Rasplin, who hasn't uploaded in over 8 months, which again, he primarily attributes to just wanting to lead the community and all the toxicity involved with it, which is exactly what Aximity is doing. But yeah, he decided to come back and drop a response because he was also mentioned in the Marlowe files. Marlowe tried to say this to prove her point.
The truth is, almost every montage on my channel is heavily staged. I'd also like to shout out Rasplin for being the first person to catch on that I was staging my montage.
Bro, oh my god!
These messages are from 2022, and I noticed myself in one of Marlowe's montages, which you can see in the screenshot. Except, I don't use right hand in Minecraft, which according to Marlowe was caused by one of her mods.
But we know now that's not the case at all. These are staged gameplays. So again, that's a major point of contention in this. Why did Marlowe never say that these gameplays are staged with someone else? Because she says it's for the artistic factor in the montages. She just wants it to look cool. But this obviously doesn't make any sense right here, because why aren't you mentioning it right here? And also the fact that Swite just recently, I mentioned this in my previous video, that Swite actually found proof that Marlowe did this same exact thing, recreating the footage during a supposed hand cam to prove they're legit. This literally makes zero sense. There's no way out of this. If you're watching this and you somehow still believe in Marlowe, well, I'm sure most of you watching don't think that, but I know there's a portion out there that does. There is literally zero excuse for this, because this video for the hand cam is for proof. There's no other reasoning for this hand cam video other than the fact that it was for proof that they're not cheating. But you staged this. There's no reason for that, literally zero. And again, the most insane thing about this situation is that all of this new information is coming out on top of all of the information that we already know that I've covered previously, which obviously has been a mountain of evidence. But at the end of all of this, Marlowe is now unbanned and back at the #1 spot. I called this was gonna happen during my video talking about the corruption. I called this was gonna happen, and here we are. Marlowe